Welcome to Not My Reality. I'm your host as always, Vince Stradamus. Thank you for joining us as we take a look back at an infamous serial killer case that involved the deaths of 5 women from 1967 to 1971. A case that was solved and then it was unsolved. Or was it? This is the case of the Stamford bra murders, also known as the Merritt Parkway Killer. The bra murders were a series of murders committed against 5 sex workers from 1967 to 1971 in Stamford, Connecticut. Full disclosure, Stamford, Connecticut is our hometown, and believe it or not, we actually know one of the families involved in this case. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, most of the victims were black sex workers or in active addiction. Each had been strangled, some of them with their own bras. It's a parody. If you don't have a sense of humor, go. Welcome. Is this my reality? Is this your reality? The victims. There were 5 in total. The murders began on or after August 4th, 1967, when 29-year-old Rose Ellen Posner, also known as Sissy Rush on the street, was reported missing from Stamford. On May 2nd, 1968, 22-year-old Donna Roberts was reported missing and found dead the next day. This was followed up by 21-year-old Gloria Kahn on September 8th that same year, whose corpse was found only 60 yards away from where Roberts had been killed. The next victim was 19-year-old Gail Thompson, who was found strangled on July 10, 1971, in an abandoned house. On August 22nd, the 5th and final confirmed victim, 34-year-old Alma T. Henry, was found inside a trash can by 2 passing motorists who were on their way to watch a football game. According to investigators' conclusions, the murder ceased after her death. They were quickly linked together by the fact that all victims had been found within 400 meters along the Merritt Parkway, and the fact that 3 of the victims, Roberts, Kahn, and Henry, had been strangled with their own bras. Support the channel, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell. Let's show YouTube you don't need a bunch of sissy Marys. Sometimes you just want the real truth, bare bones. The Preacher. In April 1969, the Stamford police received a call from a man who identified himself as a preacher. His name was James Miller. The caller then told them where they could find Posner's remains, claiming in turn that he had been told of the location during a phone call with the man he did not know. As they wanted to question him in person, investigators compiled a list of every clergyman in the state who bore the surname Miller, which eventually drew their attention to a resident of Norwalk, a 42-year-old white man by the name of Benjamin Frank Miller. Miller was interrogated several times between late 1971 and early 1972, when he denied involvement in the killings. Now, he admitted to having sex in his car with one of the victims, Gail Thompson. Forensics examinations revealed no biological traces or signs of sexual intercourse on Thompson's body immediately prior to her death. But suspicions against Miller grew when he provided details about the killing that were not known to the public. According to the investigators, once he was presented with photographs of the victims, Miller supposedly claimed that Thompson had been strangled with a handkerchief, not a bra. This contrasted what was been said in the media, which stated all 5 had been strangled with bras. After some time, Miller suddenly confessed to the murders to a psychiatrist and declared that he wanted to talk to investigators working on the case. On February 29, Miller confessed to killing 7 women in total. Following his arrest, representatives of the Stamford Police Department held a press conference to announce that they had arrested a suspect, but declined to give details about what led to his arrest. The announcement at the time was met with skepticism from members of the black community in Stamford, who believed that Miller was simply a scapegoat. After the arraignment, Miller recanted his confession At the trial, his father appeared as a witness for the defense and told the court that his son called him after he confessed to the murders, claiming that he was insane and that the policeman had duped him into confessing without verifying his claims. He also said that they used coercive tactics, such as threatening to beat him, exposing his infidelity, make him lose his job and custody of his child if he did not sign the confession. Miller's attorneys eventually filed a motion to have him evaluated, with the results showing that he could not be legally held responsible for his actions due to his personality disorder and the hallucinations that accompany it. In February 1973, the prosecutor's office agreed to drop 2 of the murder charges, with Miller eventually being acquitted by reason of insanity of the remaining 3. He was ordered to spend the next 25 years in a psychiatric facility and was subsequently transferred to one after his trial ended. That's it, right? It ended there. Well, no, it didn't. This is where things get interesting and a little bit personal. There's an alternative suspect. After Miller's trial, his relatives hired lawyers who got full access to his criminal case. They studied the content and they found out about the existence of another potential suspect. But this was not disclosed by the prosecutor's office at the trial, and due to this, an appeal was filed. The alternate suspect was a resident of Stamford named Robert Lupinacci. Full disclosure, I think I went to school with this guy's kids. Small world, isn't it? Lupinacci, who was arrested in July 1972 while attempting to, get this, strangle a black sex worker in the same neighborhood where the other victims were found. The investigators learned that he spent much of his free time in the city's red light districts and was acquainted with many sex workers and pimps, despite being a well-known racist. Things were different back then, huh? The bodies of the 3 women supposedly murdered by Miller were found within 30 meters of where Lupinacci was arrested. And his car was spotted several times near the crime scenes. In 1967, he was spotted in several bars on the outskirts of Portchester, a place frequented by one of the victims. And employees at the Hazelton Hotel reported the following year that they had seen one of the victims staying in the same hotel room as Lupinacci. Wait, there's more. In 1971, Lupinacci worked at the same hotel where Gail Thompson, with whom he was allegedly acquainted, was staying. He was known to possess a heightened sex drive and was obsessed with it, due to which he frequently viewed and collected pornographic photographs and videos. Following his arrest, police found a pornographic deck of cards in the trunk of his car, with the Queen of Hearts notably missing. Ironically, a similar card was found near Thompson's body. Additionally, Thompson was last seen boarding a car whose colors and features matched those of Lupinacci's car, and after discovering her remains, police found a witness who claimed that he had seen a vehicle similar to Lupinacci's cruising around the area several times. Upon searching the trunk of his car, investigators found several strands of female hair, which were later determined to belong to a black woman. And finally, he was a member of the club called the German American Club, situated in the Grey Rock Place neighborhood of Stamford, from where Henry disappeared in August 1971. Despite incriminating evidence, Lupinacci was never charged and later denied responsibility in a 2011 interview, but was forced to admit responsibility for assaulting the prostitute in 1972. After being released from prison, he married, had children, worked as an electrician, and seemingly ceased any criminal activity. I kind of think my father was a sign man. Lettered one of his electrical trucks back in the day. And I definitely know I went to school with Lupinacci's. Like I said, small world. But all that evidence, I mean, well, seems like evidence. And nothing happened. The Bra murders case was about serial killings, race, mental illness, prostitution, drug addiction, ambition in the national spotlight. 50 years later, do we really know who did it? The man who went to prison for the killings, Ben Miller, was 80 when he died in February 2010. Miller spent 16 years in a state institution for the criminally insane before a federal judge set him free, ruling that his public defender and state prosecutors ignored evidence about another possible suspect, Robert Lupinacci. Lupinacci, who denied any involvement, died in February of 2014 at the age of 79. And George Mayer, the lead investigator in the case, he's also gone. Mayer, who became chief of Stamford Police Department, he died in 2014 at the age of 84. Will the truth ever come out in the Bra murders case? Probably not. The Stamford Bra murders will always have questions. Did an innocent man go to jail for murders he didn't commit? Or did the local electrician get away with 5 murders between 1967 and 1971 in the small town of Stamford, Connecticut, our hometown? Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think. Do you want more content about these 6 bucks among us? Leave a comment about that too. Well, let's get the fuck out of here. Kind of want to call one of these Duke's relatives and see if this is true. Let's go check out Facebook. I'll see you there. LUPI